filmed a pregnancy update for a couple of weeks now for a couple of reasons, but the main one being that my symptoms just seemed to go away. It was really strange. I went from feeling quite pregnant, like feeling it within myself and feeling sick and the other things that I mentioned in my first video, but it just seemed to stop all of a sudden. Like one day I felt that way and the next day I didn't, and it worried me a little bit, if I'm completely honest, because I can't remember that happening before. I remember them easing off maybe sort of 15, 16 weeks, and you know, by that point you're really glad that you're not feeling pregnant and sick in the same way as you were before. So just after I filmed my first pregnancy update video, I realised that I wasn't feeling particularly sick or tired, or even like the boob soreness had kind of subsided as well. It was really strange. So because of that, I felt like I didn't want to film a video, because just in case something was going to go wrong, and I didn't want to kind of jinx myself or talk about it just in case things weren't as they should be. Then I realised that was probably silly, because the point of making these videos is to share the worrying bits and the bits that maybe didn't go the way you expected them to. So I've decided to sit down and film it anyway, but I'm now 12 weeks pregnant, so the last couple of weeks I've noticed that I've been feeling much different. I have done some reading up on it though, and apparently it's not uncommon to sort of notice that your symptoms have subsided a little bit. Because I'm somebody who doesn't get major morning sickness, so I'm not actually physically sick, and the sickness I do get, the nausea I do get, kind of comes in waves. So I think perhaps it's just that it's kind of subsided a little bit and I'm just overthinking it. I have a tendency to do that anyway. So I'm just going to try and be positive and relaxed about it and not stress myself out too much. I had my second midwife appointment as well, and that really put my mind at rest. I had a chat to her and they did all the kind of usual, the urine tests and the blood pressure, and weighed me, which was not fun. And I felt much better after having a chat to her. Although my symptoms have been fewer or less noticeable than they were last time I filmed an update, I have noticed a couple of other things which I have had in other pregnancies, which have kind of crept into this one, and I've thought, yeah, perhaps that is another pregnancy symptom. The first one is itchy skin. Now, I remember getting this towards the end of my last pregnancy with Aiden, just kind of concentrated on the bump area. And I remember reading that that was, you know, to do with your skin stretching and being at its kind of most stretched towards the end, and it's just kind of that sort of tingly, itchy feeling. And I know that itchy hands and feet are a bad sign, but what I've had last week and the week before is just slightly tingly, itchy skin around my tummy and my back. Nothing major, nothing kind of that is uncomfortable, but it's just something I've noticed that I don't normally get. I think the drier your skin is at this time of year, the more kind of sensitive and irritated it can feel anyway, so it's probably a lot to do with that. So I'm just making sure I drink plenty of water and keep my skin moisturised. As I mentioned before, I'm not feeling as tired as I was before, which is really nice, but I have still been having the crazy, freaky dreams. And again, it's not every night, but every so often, I'd say maybe once or twice a week, I have a really, really bizarre one. Last night was another one where I was on holiday, not with my family, with some complete random group of people, and I was told I had to improvise a dance routine and perform as part of this big show. It was like a kind of holiday village, Butlins kind of performance situation, and I can remember it really clearly as though I was actually there, and I was told, I was given like a brief and I had to improvise a contemporary dance routine with a partner who I'd never met to perform in front of a load of strangers on holiday. How bizarre is that? And I woke up feeling genuinely distressed that I hadn't memorised or come up with this amazing interpretive contemporary dance routine. That's just one example of many crazy dreams I've been having lately. It's actually quite entertaining. I'm quite attached to them now. I hope they don't go away anytime soon. I wouldn't say my bump is getting particularly bigger. My tummy seemed to get quite prominent quite quickly. I think I mentioned in my last video that I could definitely see a bump there, but nothing much seems to have happened since then. But it's definitely still really hard to disguise, and I guess because I'm so aware of it, I assume other people will notice, and they probably don't. However, it is coming up to Christmas, and it's the time of year where you tend to see people a lot. I've already been to a friend's house for the evening for some food and a catch-up, and there was Prosecco involved, which I think I had a sip of and then left it on the side. So I'm pretty sure she will have noticed. It's really unlike me not to finish a glass of Prosecco. So part of me just wants to tell people because they're my friends and I would want them to know anyway, but just that kind of traditional side of me thinks, oh no, you should wait until after the scan. So I'm constantly like struggling with that. Should I tell people anyway, because I'm useless at trying to make up excuses as to why I'm not drinking, or should I just keep it to myself? It's a dilemma. I also have a couple of nights out planned with friends in the run-up to Christmas, as well as a weekend away with another family who we're friendly with, which involves getting into a bather and going in the pool, which, you know, I'm going to really struggle to cover that up by that point. I would imagine that is the week before Christmas. So I may end up telling them beforehand anyway. My scan is actually the week after we get back, a couple of days before Christmas. So it's so tight. I wish my scan is actually at 13 weeks, and I kind of wish it was a little bit earlier just so that I could just tell people. But I'm going to try and hold off, and especially seeing as I've been a bit worried anyway. So I'm going to hold off and tell people once I've had the scan and I know that everything's okay and as it should be. In terms of cravings, nothing's really changed. I'm kind of still obsessing over olives and beetroot and pickles and gherkins, which is such a kind of stereotypical pregnant woman thing to say, but I love that kind of pickle. I've been loving my Pregnancy Plus app. I mentioned it in the last video. It's really nice and so convenient to have it on your phone, and it kind of sends you notifications and things like that. I just love it. And it tells me that this week the baby is the size of a plum, which is significantly larger than a raspberry, which I think was the one last time. So it's just really nice to kind of visualize it growing and getting bigger and stronger. And I didn't religiously follow any sort of update like that when I was pregnant before, so I'm making sure that I do that now every couple of days. I always forget where the first trimester ends and the second trimester starts, and you'd think that by the time you get to baby number 4 that sort of stuff would be like etched in your brain, but I'm afraid I have 4 times worth the baby brain, so that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. I have to go and double check, but I'm pretty sure that the end of the first trimester is at the end of the 12th week, and then the 13th week starts the second. I'm just gonna go and check. Yeah, there you go. The first trimester is from week 1 to week 12. I can't believe I didn't just know that off the top of my head. That's so bad. Second trimester is from week 13, so that's really exciting to think that the next update I do, I'll be into my second trimester. To think that I'm already pretty much a third of the way through is just crazy. It's going so fast. I really want to enjoy every last minute of this pregnancy because I know it's going to be my last one, and I'm one of those people who actually quite likes being pregnant. Because I've been so lucky with my symptoms in the past and never really had anything too difficult to cope with. I just love being pregnant, at least I have with the other 3, so I'm hoping so much that this one is just as smooth and stress-free as the last 3 were, and that I can enjoy it as it's going to be my last one. So I'm sorry I've kind of crammed a few weeks into one update video. I hope you don't mind. As I explained earlier, I just wasn't sure whether to film anything or not because I wasn't feeling like I had much to say apart from anything else, but I'm glad I have now, and I hope it was of use to you. I'm also planning to film a first trimester pregnancy favourites kind of video, just things that I've enjoyed eating, using, looking at, reading, all of the above. So keep an eye out for that one, as well as my next pregnancy update. Thank you so much for watching. I will leave a button here for you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. That would be amazing. And I'll link my last pregnancy update at the bottom of the screen for you to catch up on if you haven't already. And I'll see you in my next one.